Hey everyone, hope you're having an amazing day. It's Code Karen. Welcome to r/Am I the A-hole, where we have 2 incredible stories with comments and updates. If you're new to this channel, a sub would be great. Let's jump to the stories. Our first story is, am I the a-hole for telling my brother he got exactly what he deserved when he accused his girlfriend of being a gold digger? My brother is a very hardworking man, and at 27, he is now very wealthy and doing well for himself. He's been with this girl for 6 months, and throughout the time, we've gotten close because we both like hair, makeup, and shopping. I never knew there was anything wrong with their relationship, except when she texted me last week saying she would love to hang out, but thinks it'll be inappropriate because her and my brother broke up. I asked her why, and she said she was sick and tired of auditioning to prove she was with him for the right reasons. She went on to say that my brother is paranoid she's after his money, so he would test her like, number 1, leaving out his bank statements on their bed and getting upset when she picked it up. Number 2, going out to eat at high-end restaurants he requested and leaving his wallet at home on purpose to make her pay the bill and to prove she's not going out with him just for money. Number 3, never buying her gifts and questioning her when she asks why he doesn't. I was shocked, so I had to hear my brother's perspective. We spoke, and he told me everything she said was true and that there's nothing wrong with making sure his girlfriend is with him for the right reasons. He said he left his bank statements on the bed and was peeking through the door to see if she would be curious, and when he saw her pick up the papers, he knew in his gut she was using him for his money. So he set up the restaurant idea to see if she would get upset at paying a $500 bill, which she was upset about. I asked him if he thinks her being an elementary school teacher could have contributed to her being upset at a $500 bill at a restaurant he chose to go to, and he said no. He said the last straw to break was when she asked him why he hasn't bought her a single gift since they started dating. She bought him a gaming console and new rims for his car, and he knew she was just discreetly asking him to buy her an expensive gift. He confronted her and said he thinks she's with him only for his money. So she said, let me do us both a favor, and then dumped him and blocked him. He's upset about the gold-digging biatch, and when I laughed, he called me an a-hole. He said I would never understand what it's like being a rich man and being used, and I get that concern, but I told him if he thinks any woman will be okay with his tests and auditions, he's delusional as heck. If he doesn't want to be used for his money, he should start dating people as wealthy as him or leave lower income people alone if he's not going to be genuine in his relationships unless they pass his test. So am I the a-hole? Kiona Adonis says, no, you're not the a-hole. It kind of sounds like he's a gold digger, to be honest. Testing her would be taking her out to eat and getting separate tabs, not making her pay for everything. And leaving his bank statements on the bed and getting pissy that she looks? Hello, everyone looks at papers just left on their bed. Heck, all of her reactions are normal, and he's just acting like a brat. Lady K says, I could be a millionaire and I'd still be mad if I had to pay $500 for dinner. He's very delusional for thinking people would be okay with those tests. I feel like nothing she could have done would have stopped his thoughts of her. Not the a-hole. Josie Wales says, not the a-hole. Something tells me that if your brother is driving a car with rims, he's not as rich as he thinks he is. Regardless, this dude has a terrible relationship with the money he does have and apparently a pretty low opinion of himself and what he has to offer. It'd be sad for him if he wasn't such an a-hole. Alexis Rose's Hand says, your brother sounds like the gold digger. She bought him 3 expensive items in 6 months. 1, gaming console. 2, rims for his car, and 3, forced her to pay for a $500 dinner at a restaurant he insisted they eat at. Just because he has his own money doesn't mean he's not trying to get all of hers too. Many people are rich because they are tight cheapskates who refuse to spend their own money. You are not the a-hole. I hope you stay in touch with the ex-girlfriend. Wei TM says, not the a-hole. Your brother sounds like a miserly mess of a man. He got what he deserves, and no woman with any self-respect is going to suffer that sort of treatment for very long. You may want to inform your brother that if this is how he sees women, and if he thinks it's appropriate to treat them that way, that money is all he actually has to offer. He should either straighten himself out, get good with being alone, or learn to love him some gold diggers, because that's all his attitude has earned him. Chaos Comet says, Here's an idea. If he's worried about her being with him for money, he could live a more modest lifestyle. Find someone and then reveal his wealth. It sounds like your brother is an entitled, arrogant jerk. Almost sounds like he's trying to flaunt his wealth and hold it over her head. Leaving bank statements out? Why did she buy him a gaming console if he has so much money? He's a big boy who can buy his own toys with his wealth. You're not the a-hole, and you're a good friend. Keep hanging out with your brother's ex. Just because he's an a-hole doesn't mean you should lose a friend. The day before says, not the a-hole. LOL. Those tests are so stupid and prove nothing. 1. If I saw papers on my bed, I'm gonna look at them and see what they are. 2. If I was invited to a restaurant that I didn't want to go to and was told he'd pay for it and at the last moment he made me pay for it, I would be super mad too. Especially being a teacher and having to pay $500 for a dinner I didn't even want. 3. Giving gifts are a common thing in relationships. They don't have to be expensive. He had no problem accepting her gifts. Also, I'm 100% sure he purposely ordered a sugar ton of things to increase the meal bill. Your brother isn't gonna find a girl with that attitude. He sounds like a crappy person, and he's gonna go around thinking the reason why he's single is because he's rich, and every girl is a gold digger. Literally blame everyone except for himself. Our second story is, am I the a-hole for inviting my dad's girlfriend to spend the day with me instead of my real mom? I am 17 and female. My parents got divorced 6 years ago. My mom quickly remarried, and my dad has been seeing his new girlfriend for nearly 2 years now. I now live at mom's house for 2 weeks, then switch over to dad's house for the next 2 weeks. My relationship with my mom has always been difficult. I always felt like my mom wished for a more girly daughter, so we could do classical mother-daughter activities together, but I'm simply not that person my mom wants me to be. I've always been more tomboyish and more into sports, especially tennis, since I was a little girl. Tennis was something my mom never truly understood or made an effort to be interested in. As a result, my mom and I never had the close mother-daughter relationship that I feel my mom wished for us to have. Now, my relationship with my dad has been the polar opposite. My dad and I always got along great, and I've always been a daddy's girl. But when my dad introduced me to his new girlfriend, Julia, I instantly disliked her. My younger me thought she was stealing my dad from me. She was relatively young, 27 when they began dating, and I unfairly stereotyped her at first as the vapid pretty girl, things that certainly didn't make me like her in the beginning. But my younger me misjudged her, and she's honestly pretty great. She always supported me, showed an interest in my passions, showed up to my tennis matches, something my mom didn't bother to do, and has been a great person all around. I'm now ashamed to admit this, but I didn't recognize this until about 3 months ago, how I had been acting pretty horrible towards her before then. The problem. The other weekend I had a tennis tournament where I got second place. For the second place, I won a spa day for me and a guest. I decided to invite Julia, my dad's girlfriend, to thank her for supporting me and for dealing with my horrible behavior. You wouldn't believe how happy she was when I invited her, but when I returned to my mom's place on Sunday evening, my mom kind of assumed I would invite her as my guest for the spa day. She seemed to look really forward to it. When I awkwardly told her that I already invited Julia, she was disappointed and sad. Since then, she has acted downcast and moody, and we haven't really talked. I tried to explain the situation to her, but she won't listen. Now I feel horrible. I feel like I really hurt my mom, and I feel like I chose Julia over her. Am I the a-hole for inviting my dad's girlfriend over my mom to spend the day with me? Right says, not the a-hole, but I can definitely see how this would have hurt your mother. You say she likes girly things and the spa day is a girly thing, but you didn't want to share it with her. Sit down with your mom, tell her you notice she's hurt and you did not intend that. You feel awful, and explain that you invited Julia as an apology of sorts to make up for being so awful to her for so long. Then let your mom know that you would really love to have a special mother-daughter spa day just with her. NJ Bella says, not the a-hole. It was certainly your choice to invite whomever you wanted. It is unfortunate this major olive branch to Julia hurt your mother. I understand why your mom would be sad, but hopefully you'll both be able to move past it. It could be a good opportunity for a deeper conversation about how you appreciate her and wish you shared more common interests or that she'd take more of an interest in your activities and passions. Congrats on placing in the tourney. BellaBlue06 says, not the a-hole. She doesn't even show up to your tennis tournament and is sad you didn't invite her to a spa you won at the match. My mom also doesn't bother to show up at my sports events. It hurt. As an adult, I've taken her to the spa and paid for it, and she won free gift certificates and said she'd take me. She let them expire and never brought it up again. I finally asked what happened, and she admitted she let them expire and didn't want to talk about it. So I have to go with the people that actually care and make an effort that should be made to feel appreciated. Your mom didn't make an effort and expected you to treat her. That's not fair of her to expect that from you. Love Hate Passion Pain says, not the a-hole. I'm a parent of a daughter. She's an adult now, but her dad and I divorced when she was only 3. It's hard as parents, sometimes to navigate the emotional components of co-parenting, new spouses or partners, etc. However, as adults, it is our job to support our kids and their decisions. Had my daughter invited her stepmom to a spa day instead of me, I will admit, I would have probably been hurt. However, I would never have let my daughter know that. It isn't the child's job to pacify the feelings of their parents, unless the kid is deliberately being cruel, which was not the case here. I almost went with no a-holes here because I understand how your mom feels. However, it is important not to guilt your children in situations such as this, even inadvertently. Mom should have sucked it up, listened to you when you wanted to explain your decision-making and reasoning, and should have acted like an adult. I'm sure your mom is wonderful, but she missed the boat slightly on this one. Update from OP. Sorry for the late update, it has been a busy 2 weeks. First of all, I would like to thank everyone for taking the time to read and reply to my post. I have read every response, and I appreciate all the input. I have been putting off talking to my mom until Sunday, a week ago, when I finally found a good opportunity to talk to her. I told my mom that I love her, that I didn't intend to hurt her by inviting Julia, and that I feel terrible for hurting her. I also explained to her why I invited Julia. This time, she seemed to listen, and reassured her that me inviting Julia doesn't mean we can't have our own spa day, or that I chose Julia over her because she is still my mom, and I'll always love her. Then I showed her the websites of some spa places I had looked up beforehand, and offered to pay for part of the costs. I know some people advised me against it, but I think it's a small but important gesture to show my mom how much she means to me. My mom seemed really excited to go to one of them with me, and said I wouldn't have to pay a cent. Then came the hard part for me. I told my mom that I feel like she never supported me in my interests, and it hurts me that she can't even be bothered to show up to my tennis matches. I also expressed my feelings that I always felt like she wished for a more girly daughter, and how this hurt me. At first, my mom got pretty defensive. She tried to deny it, but I was adamant, and in the end, when she saw how important this was for me, she apologized and promised to improve. Later at dinner, my mom asked me if I would like to go to a nearby climbing park with her and my stepdad in the future. I instantly agreed and was so happy because going to a climbing park isn't something my mom would normally suggest. I feel like it means she genuinely listened to me and is trying to truly improve our relationship. It has been a week now since I talked to my mom, and I'm in good spirits as I hope our relationship will improve. I'm also hopeful we find our own mother-daughter thing in the future. Thanks again, Reddit, for your input. Beanbreak says, this is such an awesome outcome. You and your family should be very proud of you. You've shown great maturity here, expressing your feelings and communicating your needs, taking responsibility for your actions, and generally just being a really awesome kid. There are a lot of adults who struggle to do what you did. Kudos. Tina Burgerpants says, this is great to hear. I missed your original post, so went back. I, too, unintentionally hurt my mother post-divorce. When the court asked who we wanted to live with full-time, I chose to live with my dad. I'm the oldest, and my other 3 siblings chose my mom. I was 100% selfish about it. It was my senior year of high school, and my best friend lived closer to where my dad was going to end up. She had a car and was my ride to and from school every day. I didn't realize until a few years later how much that crushed my mom. We talked about it, and I had to admit I was the a-hole during that time. She also then understood why I did that. I couldn't apologize enough. Teenagers don't really think things through, and although I feel like I was a relatively tame teenager, I could hurt people without realizing it. It is also funny to think about it, since I do not even really like my dad and am not close to him. Godly God McGod says, "This is the first post I have ever seen on this sub that was so dang wholesome and heartwarming. You're adorable. Your mom's adorable. Your stepmom's adorable. Your dad's adorable. If ever you read this, I want you to know that the way you paid attention to your mother's feelings, took action to make her feel better, the way she listened to your feelings on your relationship with her and acted to improve her attitude, the bond you guys have with each other and the deepening of said bond has made my day. Everyone involved in this story absolutely rocks." NJ2CA Throwaway says, "I'm really glad you were able to be open with her and got her to listen to you. It must have been especially challenging for you to stick to it when she appeared hurt or upset by things you said, because it can be so easy to backpedal and retreat from what needs to be said in an effort to keep the peace or to avoid conflict or emotions. This is such an important life skill, and knowing you're doing this at 17 really speaks well to how you will handle things throughout adulthood. Many teens never really figure this out until they're well into adulthood and have made many mistakes. Some adults never develop these skills. I work with teens, and I really have to say I can't underscore the importance of this enough. I'm really proud of you for sticking up for yourself and your own needs and preferences. You're going to be one pretty cool adult. Best wishes for your relationships with both parents and step-parents."